Hey guys, here we go. We're going to be looking at some of Mayweather's offense for the Pacquiao-McGregor fight. What we're going to do is we're going to look at all of the punches that Mayweather lands in the first 4 rounds of the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight to kind of like figure out some patterns and figure out some ways to draw parallels between the two fights, right? And I know everyone's going to say that McGregor is no Pacquiao. That's true, 100% true. He's not as fast. He's going to be way bigger. The likelihood that he hits as hard as Pacquiao still might not even be there, because you have to remember that like so much head movement, so much rolling with the shots, and Pacquiao's still able to get power in his shots even when his opponents are able to see the punches coming, which is also not even the case necessarily with Pacquiao. A lot of times he's probably just too fast. But we're going to be looking to draw some parallels and see what kinds of offense we can expect from Mayweather during the course of this fight, and how that translates to the McGregor fight. And the reason that we break down a fighter's offense when going into a fight and how they land punches is because it allows their opponents, like in the Errol Spence-Kell Brook fight, I was wrong about who I thought was going to win that fight, but the way that the fight developed was pretty well established. Errol Spence would come in with his jab and try to take lead foot dominance, and Kell Brook would counter and try to stop him from taking lead foot dominance. And you just kind of want to see how these kind of skills line up, right? And then you had Kell Brook landing the straight right hand, and getting to pick apart like all the ways that Kell Brook would land punches, countering the jab, and then the lead straight right hand. You could kind of get a formula for how the fight was going to play out. Also, you get to know what kind of dangerous positions each of the fighters is going to be in. One of them, like specifically the Kell Brook fight, being that after Kell Brook throws his right hand, figuring out whether he was going to clinch or he was going to be able to control Errol Spence's head, or whether he was going to be able to switch stances and body up with him. And all those things were going to be important because Errol Spence had such good inside work, right? He was good at finding those little holes in people's games in landing shots. And Kell Brook didn't do that and wound up getting kind of smashed. And then the more he kind of got smashed, the less he actually was countering, and he would just... Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But we're going to try to figure out exactly how the fight between Mayweather and McGregor is going to play out by looking at Mayweather's offense for the Pacquiao fight. So let's go ahead and get to the beginning of this video. This is like a little highlight video I made of Mayweather-Pacquiao. So the first scene, he comes in, he uses his lead hand, gets Pacquiao to rotate out of position, give him a little bit of head movement. And then once you see from here, Pacquiao's completely out of position from slipping the jab, and Mayweather takes advantage of it by landing the right hand. He kind of sets that up a second earlier by throwing another jab. Here, Pacquiao comes in with the feint, and then Mayweather's able to counter over it. So far we have him countering over Pacquiao's jab, which is not really a jab. As you see, he's trying to establish lead foot dominance, Pacquiao is. And Mayweather just counters him and maybe lands a body shot right there. The same thing. Right after, Pacquiao comes in with the same feint, but Mayweather counters him with the right hand instead of a jab this time, showing a varied way to counter the same Pacquiao tool. Then landing a jab right there. But if you notice in this jab, not really any head movement or anything before it. He kind of just throws it out there, just throws that one out there too. Then he lands a right hand to the body, just explodes out of his guard, throws a right hand. Whoops, sorry for the potato quality right there. Then right after that, Pacquiao establishes lead foot dominance off the same feint, and then Mayweather catches him with the right hand. So far, we've got Mayweather countering lead foot dominance off of the feint 3 times now, exploding out of his guard to throw a jab, exploding out of his guard to throw a right hand. And I forgot what the other one was, but I'm sure we'll see it. Now, this is kind of a product of him having exploded out of his guard to throw the jab. Pacquiao thinks it's going to be a jab upstairs, but it's a jab downstairs. Again, we'll talk about a little bit more about that later. Now we have Pacquiao giving him the feint, Mayweather trying to counter over it and then throw a right hand too. Pacquiao giving the same feint, getting countered over the top. This one's not really a punch, right? It just kind of turns him out, but whatever. Pacquiao giving the same feint, and then Mayweather countering him with the right hand, even though he got hit with that shot. Pacquiao using the same feint again, Mayweather landing a right hand. Pacquiao switching it up a little bit, giving him the feint, and then instead of going for our left hand, he gives him a right hook, but he kind of eats a little left hook from Mayweather. Not a good punch, but, scoring blow. Mayweather probing with the jab a little bit and then throwing a jab. Whoops, this one I kind of fucked up the video. But explodes out of his guard with the right hand, then bounces the right hand off of his head, controls him and spins out. Gives him a little feint and then throws a jab, and then gets Pacquiao to move his head, setting a trap, and then, right, see how Pacquiao dips his head down to the left. Now Mayweather comes in with the same jab and then throws a right hand right to where Pacquiao's head moves, setting a trap again. There we go. Timing Pacquiao perfectly, catching him. It's not like the cleanest shot right there, but actually it doesn't even really land. It hits him on the shoulder, kind of. So ignore that part. Pacquiao feinting, coming in. Mayweather circling outside of him, outside of his guard, and then after landing the right hand, but off of the same exact Pacquiao feint. Pacquiao coming in, feinting with the right hand, trying to establish lead foot dominance. Then again, Pacquiao doing the same thing, trying to establish lead foot dominance. Mayweather countering over the top of it, exploding out of his guard. All right, and at this point, Pacquiao doesn't really know. We'll talk about that later too. Pacquiao doesn't know whether it's a jab or whether it's a jab to the head, a jab to the body. Mayweather mixing in a right hand to the body, coming from the same position as the jab does. And then Mayweather again with the jab that kind of explodes out of his guard. Then Pacquiao kind of makes him miss with that jab, and then is able to, land a right hand as he circles out. Not bad. Explodes into the right hand to the body, again varying it up. And then right here, Mayweather walking him back. Even though he telegraphs the right hand and Pacquiao's able to pick up on it, kind of lands a right hand to the back of the ear or somewhere, and then controls him. Timing Pacquiao on his guard, right? Landing a right hand. Landing a right hand to the body right there. We're not going to look at it again. Exploding out of his guard with the jab. Timing Pacquiao straight left to the body, which landed. It was a huge punch, and then Mayweather countering him to the head. Pacquiao walking into a jab. Pacquiao getting countered off of his lead foot dominance and his feint, but landing a body shot in return. Pacquiao setting up to give him the feint, and then Mayweather acts first. Whoops, where did it fucking go? I went to the back of the video for some reason. Where the fuck were we? I think we were back. Oh, I think that was the end of the video. Yeah, that's why it was so tight on. Mayweather exploding out of his guard, lands a right hand to Pacquiao's chin, but eats a right hook from Pacquiao. And then the video ends. I'll just keep playing the video. We'll talk about some of this stuff. So, in this instance, using Pacquiao's natural head movement against him, picking up on his rhythm and his timing, and being able to exploit that. So far, that's one way that he exploits an ability to land punches. Then in the next sequence, one of Pacquiao's craft, right? That's what you call this kind of stuff, is craft. Pacquiao using his his right hand to feint to get into position, Mayweather being able to counter that. And Mayweather does that in a few different ways, right? So he did it with the jab a second ago. Now he catches the feint here and then lands a right hand. So Mayweather's showing that he's got some skills with and a varied ability to take that feint away from him. And that's kind of what he's trying to do in those instances. Is once you realize that the technique is not working, most fighters kind of shy away from it. Unfortunately, for Pacquiao, he didn't have that kind of foresight, and I guess he kind of thought that he was just eventually going to be able to catch Mayweather. Again, using the same feint, catching him. So now the body shot right there, and it's an interesting tactic, right? So the exploding out of his guard sets up a lot of other shots for Mayweather. So as you notice that he doesn't go and set his punches up, right? There's no feinting really. There's no probing. He doesn't even use a lot of head movement while he's fighting Pacquiao throughout the whole fight. And right there, he's taking away his probe again. But Mayweather utilizes that tool of exploding out of his guard as a conditioning technique, right? So now he's exploding out to throw the jab to the head. Now he changes it up to the body. And because you never really know which one, it kind of gives him a little bit of an edge in that regard, in that you've got, like if he has 3 different ways to throw that punch, right? Oh, jab to the head, jab to the body, and then right hand to the body. You're not going to be able to use the same counter in each instance. So if you counter him, you've basically got a 33% chance of landing the punch because you don't know which one's coming. So and then it even could be something else. It could be like a left hook, which he does throw against Pacquiao, but Pacquiao reads it really well. And Mayweather doesn't land it, and then I don't think Mayweather throws it again. So even in that case, you're at 25%. So 1 in 4 opportunities to counter, are you actually going to be able to maybe land a shot, right? So in that respect, like, it's very clever, but you do still see Mayweather eating punches. Again, countering lead foot dominance attempt from Pacquiao. Attempting to counter lead foot dominance attempt from Pacquiao. He does get hit with a shot right there. Countering lead foot dominance. Countering lead foot dominance. And here he sets up a little trap. Oh no. Whoops. I don't remember exactly how he winds up setting this one up. I think, he was using his lead hand to probe and to make Pacquiao change head slots, and when Pacquiao moved his head into that area, Mayweather exploded out and threw some right hands. Clever. Very similar to what he's doing here. Nearly the same thing, where he sets this little trap up with, let's just go into it. I'll just show the whole thing. So there you go. Pacquiao moves his head. I think I already talked about it, actually. But yeah, so setting a trap, so I'll just play the video through. So far, the only ways that Mayweather lands offense in this fight is by setting traps, right? So the traps that he set are with his jab, where he makes it kind of unpredictable which punch he's going to explode out of his guard. And then in the countering the rhythms, right? When Pacquiao would get into a rhythm and give him the head movement, dipping, putting his weight on his left leg and then his right leg, he would then make Pacquiao transfer his weight to his left leg, and then he would punch him with the right hand. And he did that a few times in the fight. But a lot of it is, and then all of the rest of the offense basically comes from Pacquiao trying to establish lead foot dominance. So Mayweather not showing. Now, while all that stuff looks flashy, right? Like in a vacuum, you're like, oh, damn, he caught him with that shot. But when you break it down, and like this is literally every single punch that Mayweather lands. Even that punch right there that doesn't land wound up getting into this, But this is every single punch that Mayweather lands during the course of the first 4 rounds. It shows that Mayweather doesn't have a super varied offense and like a ton of different abilities to land his punches, right? And one thing I want to talk about is there was a lot of things I wanted to talk about. One of them I don't remember at the beginning of the video. I said I would talk about it later, but if you're looking at Mayweather's ability, so this is one clip I want to take a look at. So right here, Mayweather explodes out of his guard, and Pacquiao picks the right the right punch and catches him with a right hook, right? That's something that Victor Ortiz was doing pretty well too. He was catching Mayweather. Maybe Victor Ortiz was more able to read Mayweather than Pacquiao, but I was so disappointed about that fight, the Victor Ortiz Mayweather fight, because I thought that fight was really good. You know, it was going in a really good direction. It was really fun to watch. And then Victor Ortiz had to, you know, kind of act like a little fucking kid and headbutt him. I don't know anything about elbows. He talked some shit about getting elbowed in the fight, and I never did film study on the fight. I watched the fight in the theater, and I think I only watched it that one time ever because I was so, you know, disheartened with it. But anyway, it was a good fight. It was fun to watch. And I thought he was giving Mayweather some problems, but Mayweather showing, you know, that he doesn't have all that many varied abilities against southpaws to land his punches, you know. And in the first few rounds, it's going to be hard to get Mayweather's timing, like Pacquiao had right here. But there are other times in the fight, like I don't show any of the times where he catches Mayweather, but at the end of this clip, right, the one that I showed you right here, where he catches him with the right hook, he does that a couple of times. You know, he catches him twice with that, I think, in the last round, or the fourth round. He also counters his jab perfectly and lands a huge left hand. Then when Mayweather's trying to time him, taking lead foot dominance, Pacquiao catches him with the right hook right on the chin, and I know he does that at least twice that I remember. So all of these, you know, I'm not trying to talk shit about Mayweather. Very, very good fighter, right? But when some of that predictability kind of goes out the window, right? He's kind of like a robot, you know, like his ability to audible offense against like a left-handed fighter is just very limited. Notice he doesn't, you know, he kind of takes lead foot dominance in this situation, right? Boom, and then immediately just gives it back up. He's not looking to land more than one shot, which is fine. He won the micro engagement. He scored his points. That's how I'd tell all my fighters if I was training them to fight. But not really, not using a lot of feints, not using a lot of probes, not looking to fight for 3 minutes of every round, you know, and just, I guess the easiest way to say it is limited. And now, one thing I want to talk about is the difference between Manny Pacquiao and Conor McGregor is, well, Pacquiao's probably a much better fighter, probably, against most fighters, just because his tools are going to be better. He's going to be faster. I don't doubt that he probably hits harder than McGregor, even though McGregor's a big fucking guy, you know. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and forth on that. I haven't seen McGregor really do a lot of boxing, so it's hard to say, oh, you know, even though he's going to be a way bigger guy. But McGregor is extremely active with his lead right hand, and Pacquiao is not. Pacquiao kind of has, you know, one trick. He'll throw a right hook, or he'll come in and he'll feint from his elbow to try and land a punch with his straight left hand. Whereas if you look at a lot of these exchanges and all of the instances where Mayweather is landing punches, Pacquiao is able to feint him. Let's see if we can get a... Nope. Let's see. Oh, Pacquiao is able to feint him and get Mayweather to act first, although Pacquiao isn't able to counter on it, right? So like in this instance, when he comes in, he feints him, Mayweather throws the first punch, but because Mayweather has obviously great defensive skills, he controls his head and is able to turn him out, he's not able to land anything. But McGregor's whole game plan, he's not, I don't want to say McGregor's a counter puncher. He's not a counter puncher. I think that's kind of a misnomer. But he uses his feints and probes extremely well to make his opponents go first. And he does that to Eddie Alvarez. He does it to Jose Aldo, who in my earlier video with the Paulie Malignaggi, he talks about how Jose Aldo comes in and he doesn't use any feints or probes or anything to get McGregor out of position. He just comes in and throws a hook off of McGregor probing. That's the part of it that Paulie misses in there, is that McGregor has that very active lead hand, and because he's using that lead hand, he forces Jose Aldo to go first. And granted, Mayweather, I know, don't post that fucking comment. I don't want to read it. All right, just post it to troll me then, whatever. Jose Aldo is no McGregor, or is no Floyd Mayweather. I know, but he makes Jose Aldo go first and then catches him with a straight left hand and knocks him out with one punch. And the interesting thing about the way that their skills line up, and he does that even to Eddie Alvarez when he moves up in weight. And he's still able to knock him down multiple times and knock him out. The irony is that Mayweather bites on so many counters, right? Like if you look at how, not only does he not set his jab up, right? He doesn't mind going first, exploding out of his guard, not setting up his punch, not waiting for a reaction from Pacquiao. But he's also, like right here, Pacquiao gives him a feint, and then Mayweather's like, okay, got you with a shot, right? Beautiful, beautiful shot against Pacquiao. Fucking beautiful, brilliant boxing. But against McGregor, who's going to be using that feint to probe, right? He's waiting for Mayweather. He's going to be waiting for Mayweather to land, to throw that punch, because he's going to be waiting for it, and that's part of his entire fighting style is using probes. Mayweather's going to have a lot of trouble with the quote-unquote counters from McGregor, because that's what McGregor is looking to do. He's a pressure fighter, using his feints, using his probes, and he knows how to use them. When you don't react to them, he throws punches, and he does that to Jose Aldo in the first 3, 4, 5 seconds, probing with the right hand, right? And then Jose Aldo doesn't really react. He kind of touches his hand, and then as soon as he touches his hand, McGregor reaches in with a straight left hand. So it's going to be really interesting, because if you're just looking at a vacuum of how Mayweather fights Pacquiao, if he fights this way against McGregor, it's playing right into McGregor's hands, because Mayweather's always going first, right? Because Pacquiao's not even committing to any of these shots, and he's able to get Mayweather to throw right hands. He's able to get Mayweather to throw jabs. He's able to get Mayweather to go first, and that's the whole theory behind boxing, is getting your opponent out of position, and Mayweather readily puts himself out of position by being the first one to commit to something, right? Whereas McGregor will be using feints and probes. Now, the caveat to all of this is, who the fuck is McGregor? He has no real, tangible boxing experience except for his, he started boxing when he was 12. He's probably had boxing matches, no doubt, amateurs. I think he had 112 amateur fights. He's done a lot of boxing against Nate Diaz. Van Heerden, now he's training in boxing, but is he going to have the experience, and the timing to kind of pick up on the holes in Mayweather's game, right? One of the problems that I think is going to happen for McGregor is that he said that he's been sparring and doing sparring work with a boxing referee. To be honest, that's fucking terrifying for me. If he is indeed doing that, a lot of the really beautiful boxing techniques that he was using against Van Heerden, right, controlling him with his right hand, pinning his gloves up to his head and punching him in the face, all of those techniques, the referee is, because to be honest, boxing referees are fucking idiots. Everyone says oh, he's the referee, blah, blah, blah. But boxing referees don't know shit about boxing. They're fucking retards. They're so fucking stupid. These people, they don't train. Do you know what their training is? The training to become a professional referee is? It's refereeing amateur fights. They're fucking morons. So the likelihood that McGregor hurts himself more than helps himself in training with the referee thing is extremely high. You're not supposed to use your lead hand to probe, right? You're not supposed to leave it out there, but you're allowed to do that, right? It's not really against the rules. But a referee, especially one who's trying to be make a name for himself, oh, I'm a legit referee, I'm not going to let you get away with any illegal tactics or any of this or any of that, they're not going to, when Mayweather throws a punch and he has to control Pacquiao, like right here. Boom. And he gets his hand on top of his head and then turns him out and stops himself from taking return fire. The referee's probably going to tell him he's not allowed to do that. He's not going to have any little tricks or any experience or any, like right here in this scene. Catches him with the shot, controls his head, pushes his body, and turns him. There's no way a referee experience trying to make a name for himself is going to let McGregor get away with that kind of stuff, right? Well, right there, right? Misses the jab, circles around his head, gives Pacquiao nowhere to come up except for right at the end of his next punch, right? How is McGregor going to get experience like that with an inexperienced referee? A referee, who... I think I'm harping on this too much. But anyway, it's going to be really interesting. To be honest, I think that McGregor has because of the fact that, that's what I was going to talk about, Jose Aldo being a champion in his division for 10 fucking years. Now, 10 fucking years in MMA, 10 years in MMA is a lifetime in boxing. It's like 50 years in boxing because boxing has improved at such a slow rate because you have so many people who want to be boxing coaches. Like, I'm sure you guys anyone watching any of these videos has Googled a video, how do you throw a jab? How do you throw a right hand? And I've watched those fucking videos too. I watched them when I was a kid, and those people are fucking idiots. Every single one of them. Every fucking one of them. They don't know how to teach you how to fight. They know how to teach you the mechanics of throwing a punch from a single distance, right? But that's in a vacuum. That's not even how you really throw a punch. That's not how you throw a punch. That's how you throw a punch from a distance, or distance B, or distance C, right? But it's not even telling you the mechanics of throwing a punch. Like, all that shit those people are so retarded. And those people kind of come out and try to open up a fucking boxing gym because they think they know how to throw a punch. Right? And those are the kinds of people you have teaching people how to fight. And that's why you wind up also with people whose only skill, right? Their only skill is that while they're fighting with somebody, they can find holes in their game, right? Like Pacquiao when he starts catching Mayweather with the right hook, right? When you have fighters whose only skill is, let's just run in, throw punches at each other, and I'm going to get experience. I'm going to learn what holes he has, and then I'm going to take advantage of those holes, rather than starting with the basis of properly setting up your punches and then taking advantage of those holes later, right? But putting yourself in punching danger. That's why you have so many fucking idiots out there teaching boxing. But anyway, Jose Aldo being a champion in mixed martial arts for 10 years. The sport in MMA has evolved probably 20 times as fast as boxing has in the last 10 years. And Jose Aldo to having been a champion throughout all of it, having to innovate and having to, it's just unfucking real. It's more impressive than Mayweather being, undefeated in his career. It's way more impressive. Because not only is it more impressive in that facet, because the sport has evolved so much more than it would have in Mayweather's lifetime, but the fact that Jose Aldo doesn't have a say in who he gets to fight. The UFC, like being a UFC champion or like a mixed martial arts champion, you just have to fight whoever the fuck they say. If they say that you have to fight them again because it was a close fight or because of this, you have to fight them again. You just don't even have a choice in it. So you don't get to cherry pick. You don't get to skip over guys. You don't get to build up a money fight. You just fucking fight. And the fact that McGregor was able to use his boxing skills to starch a guy like that in 13 seconds is extremely impressive. I do expect McGregor to have a chance to land some good shots. I do expect him being able to make Mayweather go first, even though Mayweather's a counterpuncher, right? And for all intents and purposes, it looks like Mayweather's countering Pacquiao here, but Pacquiao has no lead hand, right? He only uses his lead hand for one thing in this whole fight, and that's to set up lead foot dominance, right? Or fake lead foot dominance so he can land a counter. McGregor is going to be so much more versatile than that, although not as good of a fighter probably on average. But anyway, it's going to be a really fun fight. The interesting part about it, is going to be, about the actual fight, is going to be whether or not having a referee in McGregor's camp helps him or hurts him, because obviously he's not going to get away with any of those little tricks. The guy's going to try to make him a straight up, like, you know, a Canelo. That's nothing against Canelo, but like, you know, ABC boxing style, you know, not controlling with the lead hand, not, you know, not as many like probes, the really high level technical offense, like, because you're not supposed to leave your hand out there, but also not as good with the defense, because he's not going to let the guy like lean on his head, right? And that's going to be something that Mayweather's going to do for sure. But the other question is McGregor going to be able to capitalize on his feints and probes by being as fast as Mayweather, or being able to react as quick as Mayweather? Because he's fucking sharp. You know, he's so fast. And like, look at this. Just so fucking fast, man. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I think it's going to be a fun fight. I'm definitely going to watch it. And the fact that Showtime keeps fucking with my videos, I'm going to pirate it. If anybody needs a link to pirate the fight, let me know, and I'll post it in my comments for a place to go to pirate it. Watch the fight for free. Yeah, fuck you, Showtime. That's what you fucking get for fucking with me. Every fucking day, a new copyright on the same fucking video. You know how petty they are? Remember I told you guys I was gonna fucking play the punch sound? The punch sound of Pacquiao punching Mayweather. They gave me an audio copyright because of that shit. Fuck you guys. Espinoza, you are a fucking weasel, you fucking clown.